Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to Sid's Little Corner of the Internet. We've got another Transformers review coming your way. This time around, we're going to be taking a look at the Transformers Kingdom War for Cybertron Maximal Wingfinger. So as we always do, let's go ahead and take a look at that packaging. And right up there at the top, you have Wingfinger. And then you have his fossil mode right there, Kingdom War for Cybertron, Transformers up the side. A little bit of that Kingdom artwork right there on the side. Back here you have your product shots, and you can see that he essentially explodes and reforms into different things that are all kinds of fun. And down here you have all your warnings. You do get the sad baby. The sad baby does not explode. Over here you have him in his robot mode. He is a deluxe class. And there's that quarter shot so you can see both modes. Up top, War for Cybertron K25. Down low, manufacturing information. So that is it for the packaging, so let's go ahead and see what came inside that box. And here's everything that came inside that box. We'll start as we always do with a little sheet of warnings. And you get your instructions. And you do get the collector's card because he is a deluxe class. And drum roll please. I got Dinobot again. Yes, I do know it's a sticker. Yes, I do know it peels away. No, I will not be doing it. And that leaves us with everything you see here. So we will go ahead and start with that big old Pteranodon Head, Pterodactyl Head. I'm not sure which one it is. Somebody out there might be able to tell me. But yeah, there you go. So big old dino bird skull. Looks good. I think it's got good detail on it. Pretty much the same thing on the other side. There's the bottom. There's the top. And it does open, so you can reveal a big old pelican mouth. So yeah, painted black inside, coming at you. All right. And it does snap shut with some force, which is kind of cool. And then you get two of these bone pieces that he can use for weapons in his robot mode. So yeah, no paint apps or anything, just molded detail in there. And that is it as far as accessories go. So let's go ahead and jump right in and take a look at Mr. Wingfinger himself. Hey, you, get over here. Close-up time. All right, let's bring him in. Mr. Finger himself, first name Wing. And we'll take a look at that crest first with that Maximal logo right there. And come down to the face, if you want to call it that. Trying to get a little bit of light in there so you can see there is some blue in there. So yeah, he's got that going for him. And then he has a chest. And he has a spine. And he has hips. And he has bony little legs. And turn him around here a little bit and look at those back. He's got that going on for the backs of his feet. Come up here to the arms. He's got hands and ribceps, bicep ribs, rib biceps, or maybe they're tricep ribs. I don't know. Anyway, he's got those. And he has a surprisingly a good amount of detail in this upper chest area. Coming around here to the back. Got some of that going on. And, you know, some bone action right there for some butt flaps. So, yeah, I mean, as far as detail goes, yeah, he's a fossil. And then you've got that going on in there, which that doesn't look bad at all, really. So, all right, I just don't know what to say as far as the way he looks, guys. I mean, he's bones. So, but let's talk about that articulation. He is pretty articulated, so we'll start up here with the head. So you do get some side to side. You do get a little bit of down, and you do get a little bit of up. And if you choose to do so, he can shield himself, I guess. Oh no, incoming. Whoop. And then he can close that up. So you can do that if you want. Down here at the shoulders, they'll come up that far. The only thing stopping them is the rib geometry there. They'll go around full 360 if you want to do so. You'll get 90 degrees out of that elbow. And you get bicep rotation, but it's upper. So everything is rotating up here on this rotation joint right there. And then down here at the wrists, you do get the ability, because they're on ball joints, you can wiggle and you can twist and you can go in and out. You can get pretty good movement out of that. And you do get a little bit of elbow rotation here too. I want to mention that before we get too far. So you get upper bicep rotation and elbow rotation right there. And then coming down here to the spine, you get upper torso rotation. So try to hold on to that so you can see, so you can get some rotation there. And then very, very high waist rotation at that point right there. And this is where he shines, everybody. Check this out. These hips. Here we go. Best Van Damme ever. Bar none. And as far as kicking forward, let's bring those back down. He can kick forward that far. He can kick backward. If you bring him out a little bit, he can kick backward that far. So you can get this guy absolutely contorted whichever direction you want to take him. So he has no hip competition. He is the hip champion, no doubt about it. Now, as far as thigh rotation, there is none, but you do get rotation down here in the lower knee. So you can take that around any way you want. And you can utilize these two sets of joints right here for a double hinged knee. Now, normally you would get this, which is not insignificant. I mean, it's greater than 90 for sure. But if you needed to, for whatever reason, for your dynamic posing, you can also bend him right there and bend him right there. And now you've got one heck of a great knee bend. So, really, really well done there as far as the articulation. Now down here at the feet, he's a little weak in the feet. There is no ankle tilt whatsoever. And you can bring the feet forward that far. You can bring the feet backward that far. And you can do this with the toes for whatever kind of posing you want. So there you go. Oh, thank you, Cleveland. You rock. Woo! He looks like a rock star right there up on stage. We will bring in his accessories so you can see how he looks all done up with his own pieces of his body as weapons, I guess. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. So here we see Mr. Wingfinger with his accessories all set up and ready to go. And as far as effects compatibility goes, I'm not going to do anything with the effects, at least in robot mode for this guy, because the only effects port that he would really be able to utilize is just that one there on his back. And I think we all know that that's just where Starscream shoots people in the back. So we're going to go ahead and skip that part, but we will talk about these accessories. So you can have him holding his bone weapons, but you can also store them if you don't want him holding them. Each of these ribs has a tab back here, so you can just take those weapons and slide them on, and you can put those on either side. So you've got one here, you've got one here, and then he's got his big skull shield melee weapon, whatever you want to call it, the beak of death, if you want to call it that. So you can utilize that any way you want. Now you can swing it around if you want to do something like that, if you think that looks better. And, you know, of course, you can plug it in up here if you want him shooting his beak. So he could do something like that. So totally up to you. There is weapon storage for this in robot mode as well, and it is back here on this port. So you just plug it in right there. And then you can take the other weapon if you want to go full weapon storage and just have him standing there looking like a skeleton. There you go. So that's really it as far as the accessories go for this guy. So what we'll do now is we will jump right into his Weaponizer mode. I'm not going to go step by step in this video for the Weaponizer mode or to get him into his fossil mode. You know, you're going to need to reference back to these instructions quite a bit anyway. So I'm going to skip that just for the sake of time in this video. Just follow the instructions. It's not difficult to do. It's just, I don't want to take up however many minutes of your time and mine doing this on video when it's something that you can follow on your instructions. So hope that's okay. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. We will do the Weaponizer mode first, or the fossilizer mode first. All right, guys, so here we have Wingfinger in his first Weaponizer, Fossilizer mode. And I have to say that between the two modes that are listed in the instructions, this one's probably my favorite. I enjoy the simplicity of it. Unfortunately, my model, Mr. Wheeljack, who in the instructions actually, they use Wheeljack because he's the wave mate with Wingfinger. So this is the War for Cybertron K24 Wheeljack that came out at the same time as Wingfinger. This is the figure that they use in the instructions as their model. So I figured I would go ahead and follow suit here. The downside is that he is simply not strong enough to hold this up because there's just so much mass here. So you can see that once you have it up like that, it's first of all, it's a little heavy, so he wants to tip over. So you've got to have a good solid footing for him. So you could do something like that. But if you extend the arm out, you're just simply not going to get, at least my joint isn't tight enough to hold it. But from a weapon standpoint, it looks really cool. I very much like this. It almost reminds me of Chewbacca's bowcaster. So, if you did something like that, maybe and turned those, you could hear Wheeljack letting out a guttural growl like a Wookiee and firing something off. I think that would be kind of cool. So, yeah, so that is Weaponizer Fossilizer mode number 1. And let's go ahead and jump right into mode number 2. So here we have Fossilizer / Weaponizer mode number 2. And somebody's got to say it, and it might as well be me. I swear this looks like a Black Sabbath album cover. I mean, it's cool, I guess, but look at these wings. I mean, these are death metal album cover wings, in my opinion. I mean, it absolutely looks like Wheeljack is channeling his inner Ozzy at this moment, and he's gonna bite the head off of something. So, but let's go ahead and take a look at that. And he has his big pelican head hammer of death and murder right there. So, again, same thing as we talked about earlier. There's just a lot of mass here for a deluxe class figure to handle. So it's not like he's going to hold this up. Oh, come on. Don't keep doing that to me. So he's not going to hold it up unless you can angle it just right. If you do something like that, and now he's out of frame. But the second you bring it down a little bit, I mean, he's going to come down. Don't put your finger there. He's going to hurt you. But, you do have that. So let's go ahead and take that out of his hand to make life a little bit easier here for a moment. We'll get a close-up of that. So all you're doing here really is you've got your big Pteranodon head, plugging it into the rib cage, central portion of the body, and then sticking that in his hand. And, then just pecking people to death with it. Just doing that. Okay? Now, as far as the wings go, I mean, I will admit, I have to admit, they look cool, but when I think Autobots, when I think Maximals, I don't typically think demon wings, and that's what these are to me. So, but anyway, yeah, so let's take a look at them from the back. There you go. And you can kind of see, you take the weapons that he had in robot mode, plug them into the feet plug into the hips, spread the hips out, and then you've got the spine there, and the spine plugs into the port in his back right there. And yeah, then he's ready to, take off like a bat out of hell. So, yeah, there you go. Those are his 2 Weaponizer / Fossilizer modes. Let's go ahead and put him in his Pteranodon or Pterodactyl mode. I'm not sure which one. Let's put him in his Fossil Dinosaur mode and take a look at him there. Okay, so here we have Mr. Wingfinger in his Fossil Pterodactyl Pteranodon mode. And yeah, it's a fossil flying dinosaur thing. So let's go ahead and take a look at him. We'll bring him in for a close-up here. And we've already seen this head, but there it is again. And let me angle these wings the right way. I just had him angled a certain way so he could prop himself up. But per the instructions, you should have him approximately like that. So that way you have, of course, straighten those out a little bit. Get a little bit of symmetry going on. So you should have something that looks like that when he's all said and done. And there he is from the top. And there he is from the bottom. Now, it would have been really nice. This is a kind of a wish list item for this figure. If you're going to display him in this mode, it would have been really nice if he would have been display stand compatible with this little 3mm port right there. And he does. I guess it's kind of frustrating because he actually does have a 3mm port. If I can get him apart here, he has one right there. But that does me no good, or doesn't do anybody any good really, for two reasons. Because number one, it's on the wrong side, he's upside down, and number two, when you put the rear of the body on, it covers that port up, so it renders it completely useless because it's covered up. So that's an annoyance. So you can see here, you take the bottom part of the body, line it up with the tab there, or that hole there, and then when you slide it over, it's going to cover that port up. So boom. And now you have lost display stand compatibility, and you can't really, I mean, I guess you could, do something like that if you wanted to stand him up and maybe bring that head down. But there's really no good way, at least that I've found, there's no good way to display him in this mode, which between the two modes, this one actually looks a little bit better because he looks like he's supposed to. He looks like the bones of a pterodactyl or a pteranodon. So I prefer this mode. I just don't know how I would display him in this mode. So that's the biggest frustration here for this. I mean, these legs only come down this far. You can't do anything with these. So yeah, it's just, I mean, I guess you're relegated to this kind of action, if you want to do that. And for those of you who are older like me, tell me that doesn't look like a Spy versus Spy from Mad Magazine right there. I think that looks just like the Spy versus Spy. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I guess you're kind of relegated to that if you want to display him in this mode, or if you could come up with some clever way to suspend him. So, that's going to be your call on that. For me, I'm probably just going to display him in robot mode because I don't have any good way to do it in this mode, and that's kind of a shame. But anyway, let's go ahead, and while we have him in this mode, let's bring in some other comparisons so you can see how he stacks up and compares to some of those other figures out there. For our first alt mode comparison, here we have Wingfinger next to a fellow fossilizer. This is Ractonite, and yes, Ractonite came out of the box missing a horn, so what are you going to do? Next comparison is the Age of Extinction, Bayverse, Strafe, Swoop, whatever you want to call him. And for our last alt mode comparison, here we see what's left of my G1 Swoop. And I've said it before, I'll say it again. This figure was very well loved. He got played with a lot when I was younger, so he's not in the best of shape, but just know that he's had a good life. That'll do it for the alt mode comparisons. Let's get him back into his bot mode and do some comparisons there. And our first robot mode comparison is his Kingdom Wavemate. This is the Kingdom Wheeljack. Our next comparison is the Premier Edition Voyager-class Grimlock from the Age of Extinction Bayverse film. Here we see a fellow fossilizer. This is the Kingdom Paleotrex. For a G1 comparison, here he is next to the Terrorcon Blot. And our final comparison in robot mode is my universal scale. This is the Kingdom and or Earthrise Leader Class Optimus Prime. And that'll do it for our robot mode comparisons. So let's go ahead and get into those final thoughts. All right, so let's talk about those final thoughts on the Kingdom Deluxe-Class Wingfinger. Before I get into my bullets, I just want to say right off the top that I wanted to be excited for this figure. And I don't know if it's just fossilizer burnout. I don't know what it is exactly, but I just couldn't get excited for this guy. But please don't let my lack of excitement steal any of your joy if you're really looking forward to this figure. And as we go through the bullets, you'll see that, barring my feelings of mediocrity toward him, he's really a pretty good figure. I think a lot of my meh comes from just the burnout on fossilizers in general. I like my figures that you genuinely transform. I don't know how excited I am about figures that you pull apart and reassemble into other things. Although, when you couple him up, turn him into his super bow and arrow mode or his demon winged pelican hammer of murder, I guess those are pretty cool. They're just not my style. So that being said, let's go ahead and go through the bullets and talk about each of those things with Wingfinger here. So number one, with the aesthetics. I think from a looks standpoint, this guy looks pretty good. He's painted and molded and designed to look like a fossil. And yeah, for the most part, he pulls it off. There's no doubt about it. I think that in his robot mode, he looks okay. In his Pteranodon or pterodactyl, I'm not sure which one it is, forgive me. In his flying dinosaur mode, he looks even better. My biggest complaint there is I would have liked to have had the 3mm port available in the flying dinosaur mode so I could put him on a flight stand, because my preference would have been to display him on the flight stand. So from aesthetics, I think he does a pretty good job. I'm going to give him a 7 out of 10 there. As far as articulation goes, this guy pulls apart and you can turn him into different things. So he has joints and, rotation joints, ball joints. He's got it all everywhere on him. So you can get him into almost any position that you can imagine. One point of disappointment for me, though, is those ankles. I know it's because of the way he was designed and what they wanted him to do for his fossilizer mode and for the pterodactyl or Pteranodon mode. But man, I really miss ankle tilt on these figures. And I just think it detracts overall from any figure when they don't have ankle tilt now. So he excels at every other joint, and he disappoints me at the ankle. I'm going to go ahead and give him a 7 on articulation there, just because I think the ankle tilt is so important nowadays. As far as accessories go, he comes with a couple of bone swords and his dinosaur head. I guess if you want to call those accessories, then, he comes with 3 of them. They look okay. I'm not blown away by them. I think the dinosaur head's kind of cool. And you can, I guess, make it some fashion of weapon that he can use, or a very narrow shield. So, I don't know. Realistically, I think from an accessories standpoint, I think he's a little weak. I'm going to give him a 5 on accessories. Again, opinions vary on that, and I completely understand. Overall quality, I have 0 complaints with this guy. He came out of the box with everything that he was supposed to. Joints are tight. Everything works the way it's supposed to. I don't have any issues with paint. So I'm going to go ahead and give him a 10 on quality. He does everything that I expected this figure to do. And overall value, taking my lack of excitement out of it, for somebody who's really looking forward to this figure, I think the value is going to be there. I'm going to put this at about an 8 out of 10 for the price point. Being a deluxe class figure, you absolutely can do a lot of cool things with these fossilizers. They're just not my bag. They don't excite me. But if you're somebody who's looking forward to this guy, then yeah, you're going to find it for sure. And I have seen on some of the different websites, some of the different blogs, where people have actually taken all their fossilizers and they've made super huge robots out of them. And they've some guy made a motorcycle for Wreck-Gar out of Paleotrex and Wingfinger and Ractonite, which is really cool. I just don't have that mindset. To reference the Lego movie, I'm not a master builder. I kind of follow the instructions. So it's hard for me to think out of the box on that. So overall, again, taking my lack of excitement out of it, guys, I would say that I think this is a good quality figure that if you are into the fossilizers, you are going to really enjoy this guy. If you're kind of on the fence with the fossilizers and you haven't really picked up Paleotrex or the Ractonite, or even the smaller core class vertebrake or anything like that, I think you can safely skip this guy. I don't think you're really missing anything. like I said, I would have liked to have displayed him on my shelf in his dinosaur mode, but I'm going to be stuck with him in the robot mode, and I think for me that's maybe one of the bigger disappointments. But yeah, guys, if you like the fossilizers, he's right up there with Paleotrex and Ractonite. If you don't like the fossilizers and they're not your thing, don't feel bad not picking this guy up. So with that, we're going to wrap up the review. I hope this was helpful. I hope this gave you guys a little bit of insight before you made a purchasing decision. And if you like what we do here, as I always say, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, leave us a comment, and let me know what your thoughts are on these fossilizers. There's probably a whole community of people out there who like them more than I do. So with that, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. As always, thanks for watching, and until we see you guys in the next one, take care.